Hey guys, welcome to the Turbo Takes podcast, our first official episode. We got a treat for you today. We got a few things we're going to talk about. We got a bombshell in the pop culture / sports category we're going to jump into. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about that. The whole Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier scandal. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's some juicy stuff.
Dude, we'll dive into that. But first, I want to start out. We're going to dive into a topic that I'm very passionate about. You can see that I'm wearing my Cougars get up. So there's a little bit of bias on my end. But if you've got to think about, the Mount Rushmore of college basketball, who would you say is at the top or near the top?
It's tough. I mean, there's a lot of great college basketball guys out there, obviously. First one I think that comes to my mind is Carmelo Anthony. I think,
Yep.
You win a national championship. You got to be up there. I think kind of Zion took the college world by storm.
Yeah.
Guys like him. Kemba, right? The people that also have stories in March, right? And I know that when I saw this, I know where it's headed because when you said it, I was like, that year there was Kemba, but there was also Kemba didn't even play a year, and so I know you're going to get into that. But those are the kind of guys that come to my mind when you talk about college basketball.
Sure. I would completely agree, and I think that the landscape has obviously changed. So we're going to see more and more change as far as the college basketball landscape goes. Like even AJ Debanza playing at BYU now, he dropped 30 in his first exhibition game. Little warm up,
Yeah.
But today, I want to dive into my passion and my thought process behind Jimmer Fredette being ahead of his time. What I mean by that, you look at today's basketball, you've got guys like Booker scoring 70. You've got guys like Luka popping off scoring 40 to 50, 5 to 7 times per season. You look at Luka's not playing defense. You know what I mean? It's objectively speaking, he's not a good defender. Is he better than Jimmer was? Probably. But my whole thought process and the whole thing that I want to talk about today is the main bulk of the sports section. I believe that Jimmer Fredette walked so a lot of these other guys could run. That's my honest opinion.
We talked about this in the intro episode. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit here and say, hey, X's and O's, this is why Jimmer belongs in the NBA. I'm also a fanboy, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if there was any 10-year-old kid anywhere that didn't freaking love Jimmer when he was coming out, especially if you're from Utah, right? Like, but at the end of the day, I think there's an argument. I'm excited to hear your take on it and kind of let you go with as far as the analytics side or the actual X's and O's of it. But for me, I've always looked at his career and been like, man, as a role player, there's got to be. I couldn't believe, that he could at least make an impact. If you put prime Jimmer in the league now, I couldn't see a world in where he didn't succeed.
Even if we were to talk, like you look at guys like Austin Rivers or Seth Curry, you look at some of these guys, their whole role is to shoot the ball. You even look at Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver was not this elite defender. He could hold his own, but his job was to go out there and hit 3.5, 3.7 threes per game for whatever team he played for. You know what I mean?
So I guess because I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to ask you because I want to hear your thoughts on that. When you say those names, Kyle Korver, when you say those guys that are shooting 3 to 3.5 3-pointers a game, I think the biggest thing for me from an outsider perspective or from devil's advocate side is, okay, they were asked to do all of that without the ball in their hand, right? Kyle Korver's catch and shoot. So I guess in your mind, how does that differ? Jimmer probably has to change the way he plays the game a bit if they want to slide into that role. But kind of give me a little bit more on that, on your take that.
So the first thing I'll say, Jimmer torched prime college Kawhi, right? So we're looking at arguably Kawhi Leonard. He'll probably go down as one of the top 25 players from the year 2000 to when his career ends. In that time frame, he'll probably be top 25. He's got a Finals MVP. He's got a couple titles to his name. Very good basketball player. Jimmer came in and dropped 42 on one of the best on-ball defenders that the game has seen in the last 30 years. So, for me, do I think that he could have played a Kyle Korver, Seth Curry role where he's moving away from the ball, kind of setting screens, kind of moving, getting open, just kind of your gel guy that's kind of running all around the court and getting open? Yes. But I also truly, and again, my bias might be showing, I truly think that there's a world where Jimmer can bring the ball down. They can give him 18 shots a game, and Jimmer can average 25 in virtually any era. you even watch some of his clips when he was on the Kings, the year that he averaged like 4.3 when the Kings gave him, like 2 starts. There were a couple games where they gave him the wheels and said, "Hey, go shoot the ball, go do what you want." But he put up 24 points in like 14 minutes,
Yeah, yeah, in New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
there's
yeah,
the New York game. That one was
yeah,
huge. But even Sacramento, he had a few games where he was coming out and he was hitting 3 to 5 threes in very, very, very limited use. And I just personally, I think that NBA GMs fumbled the bag there. I feel like there was an opportunity for some contender to come in and have him be someone that like always has to be guarded,
yeah. I mean, I think a variety of things too, right? Like you talk about just GM fumbling back. I 100% am on board with that. As far as like, come on, you got to be able to find a guy here. When they finally did, like you were saying, in Sacramento, game that I was referencing, Sacramento on the road in New York, they gave him those minutes and he's put up
Yeah.
24.
Yeah.
Right. For me too, I also just think of, man, it kind of, you look back and you're like, what a sucky draw. I mean, he gets drafted by the Bucks, traded to probably the worst organization in basketball at that time, the
Yeah.
Kings.
They're
Don't
coming
really
around slowly.
they're coming out of it, but I mean, I think he went through 2 head coaches in his rookie year.
Yeah.
During the lockout year, no summer league, no development, no chance to actually summer leagues where you take the rookie and you let them have the ball in your hands and you get to see them put that into action, right? I feel like that's a big part of it. So it's just like there's a variety of things where they fumbled the bag and also he got like the super short end of the stick.
Yeah.
When it comes to where he went.
And I agree. I think that that's a good point. And I think that there is a world too where maybe just the GMs were right. Maybe there was something in the scouting process that was like, this guy has so much upside, but his lack of, on ball defense or his IQ when it comes to X, Y, and Z is so bad that it's just, he's a liability. Because some college games just don't translate. You think about Adam Morrison, arguably one of the best pure scorers in basketball history, as far as the college level goes. Adam Morrison was a dog. He was a freak, made the cover of freaking, NCAA, and then just completely washed out. He was terrible in the NBA. He just did nothing. So you're right. There's a world, I think, where you can argue both directions, but I just think, and here's how I'll close my argument on the topic. This is kind of the way that I'll wrap it up, and I think that you'll at least agree with this. If you put Jimmer in today's NBA, where scoring is heavy, you've got teams that are popping off. Like the Jazz a couple years ago, they scored 165 points against the Kings. So you look at today's NBA. If you're scoring 165 points, there is not a lick of defense being played. It's just not a priority. So if you put Jimmer Fredette, who I still think is probably one of the most pure scorers to ever hold a basketball, he can get a bucket from anywhere. If you put him in today's league on an average team, maybe a below average team, put him on the Wizards, where he's shooting the ball 25 times a game, I think that he's probably a guy that's averaging 25 to 35 a game. And that's just because I think the basketball landscape has changed. And I think that goes along with him drawing the short end of the stick. College, it was like, yeah, you're really good. Shoot whenever you want. Dave Rose was like, do whatever you want. Ball's in your court. And gets to the NBA, and we were in an era where there were playoff games ending 78 to 80, and guys were, unless your name was Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan, you were shooting the ball maybe 5 times a game. So,
yeah, you're right. I'd agree in there. I agree. I don't think that's crazy to say at all. I mean, he dropped 55 on the Rockets with the Shanghai Sharks, right?
yeah.
I mean, he put 55 on them. One guy's shooting the ball.
Yeah.
To think even, if, those teams that have a heavy, guy that controls the ball most of the time, whether that's, I'm not able to tell you who does that on what team, but I know they're out there.
Yeah.
When they come off the bench, just put a guy in for 17 to 20 minutes a game and he's going to get 15 points, pretty easily.
I agree. And I just feel like, and I will never argue that Jimmer's on the same level as Russ or Steph or James Harden or anything. He's definitely 2 or 3 tiers below that, like they're probably S tier guys, and Jimmer's probably realistically, Jimmer's probably a B plus tier guy, but you look at a lot of those guys, like Russell Westbrook's usage percentage in his OKC years, like the latter half, when he was averaging a triple double, breaking Oscar Robertson's record and everything. His usage percentage was like 32%, which means he impacted like literally almost every play on the court. So I think that if you put Jimmer in a role like that on a bad team, he's probably a 25, 26 point per game player. But it's just one of those things that I still lose sleep over it sometimes. I just sit there and I'm like, man, dude, like we missed out on what could have been like the little brother to Steph. You know what I mean? Like Steph on a more minor level.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no argument against it. It's one of those things that haunts me. There's a couple of those in sports. You
Yeah.
know, we can get into it maybe at a different time. I have a couple
Yeah.
from the NFL that I'm like, man, they're just a little early, just a little. But I 100% get behind that. And you know what? He'll always be my goat. I think Jimmer, as far as scoring in the college world, and I don't think anybody that really, even outside of BYU and the Utah culture, if they were to give you maybe a Mount Rushmore of scoring or a starting lineup over the last 25 years in college basketball, I feel most of them would have Jimmer on that list.
Yeah.
Again,
and objectively speaking, if Jimmer's not on your Mount Rushmore of basketball, college basketball, you don't know ball. I'll say it.
Or you're a hater, right? It's either you're just a hater, or you just I don't know how you could leave him off the list. But.
And the last thing I'll say, this is the biggest tragedy of the whole Jimmer saga. BYU was probably a Final Four team that year, roster wise. Brandon Davies, man. We're not even going to dive into it because it just brings a lot of sadness my direction. I remember being a 13-year-old kid and being like, what does it mean he got him pregnant?
I don't even know. What does that even mean? I'm like, huh? It's not allowed.
You can't play because there's a baby coming? Like, what? So,
yeah.
Brandon Davies, he did have a successful NBA career.
Dude,
that's crazy.
Yeah, well, that I mean, undersized power or undersized, forward. I think he's probably playing the 4, but he goes to probably the most successful European team, wins a championship in the EuroLeague.
Yeah,
love the guy too, though. Came back. A lot of guys, people that don't know, watch BYU. Something happens like this where you break the honor code. You leave the school, right? The whole Jake Redstock thing. I'm sure we'll talk about it. To show that you want to come back, and he came back his senior year back to BYU. I'm always going to have love for that guy. But again, one of those things I'm like, BYU is, it hurts. I'm on the same page with you there.
If I'm not mistaken too, I think, Brandon Davies obviously was successful in Europe, but I think he also spent some time backing up DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin in Los Angeles, if I'm remembering right.
He was in LA.
I think he was in LA. I think it was the same time. I think it was right around Lob City. Maybe it was a little bit. I'm gonna have to fact check myself, but yeah, he was in LA around that time, and he had some good games. Like I think there was a season that he was averaging like 4 to 6, which is not bad off the bench, But
yeah, again, in an era that was primarily, I think they were shifting to there were still bigs, right? Now it's like you got to be a shooter if you're big. I feel like nowadays, so he was kind of at the tail end of that, maybe where just a little undersized, couldn't compete with the bigger forwards. But
maybe ahead of his time as well. He might have been one of those guys too that you put him in today's list. Maybe
next episode. No, just kidding.
Next episode, Brandon Davies. No, but anyways, I'll silence myself on the Jimmer topic now. I feel like I got my piece out there to the world, and hopefully people resonate with it. I love Jimmer. I got to meet him when I was a kid, and he was literally coaching a camp, like mid camp, super expensive camp to go to, but it was like 2 blocks from my house. And I remember I asked my mom, I was like, hey, can I go over and see if I can meet him? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't care. So I remember I rode my bike over, or something ran over. It was at the old XSI factory, if you know what that is. It's like right at the point of the mountain, but walked in. I don't know how they let me in without registration or anything, but I walked up, found his then girlfriend at the time, now wife, Whitney. And I looked at her. I'm this little, it's probably like a little 6th grader, 7th grader. And I was like, do you think you could get Jimmer to sign this for me? And it was like a ripped off corner of a paper. It wasn't even a full paper. I don't even know what I was doing. And she looked at me, and she was kind of like, and I think she could just see it in my eyes. She could see this kid needs an autograph. So she walks up. Jimmer's mid camp talking to people, and she walks up to him and interrupts him and says, can you sign this? And he looks at me, and I'm sitting over here sheepishly in the corner, and he signs the paper, and she walks over and she's like, here you go. And I was freaking out. So speaking on Jimmer's character, I guess that's the last piece I'll give. He's just a stand-up guy too. So, but
Yeah.
moving on, pop culture section. You want to dive into the gambling scandal now, or should we save that for the end?
I mean, we're on the NBA, right? I think
Yeah,
that
maybe that's a good transition.
good
Sad
transition piece.
transition.
I just wild stuff. Waking up to seeing people arrested. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I mean, we knew about Terry, right? They've been investigating him for 15 months now. It's been all over that they were wondering if he had been kind of throwing games, and not even throwing games, but just missing shots, more turnovers than usual to kind of mess with the player props out there. But the Chauncey Billups one, that was insane to me. To see that he was arrested and to hear the depth of that, I was just like, dude, the mafia is involved. Like, I was shocked.
yeah. It's one of those things where you just are like, feel like, I mean, speaking of pop culture, you literally feel like you're in a movie or something.
Yeah.
It's like Uncut Gems in real
Literally.
life.
I was
Right?
literally about to say, I feel like I was in Uncut Gems right now.
It's one of those things. I think the duality is hilarious, right? I'm watching ESPN talk about it today, and I think it went viral. The clip, right? I mean, they're talking about like talking about how bad it is to be betting and betting on those games when you're playing in them, and then the clicker on ESPN showing
Oh
join
yeah,
ESPN bet now, and I'm like, it's just
dude.
it's funny they're punishing these players, and I think betting on your own games on your own team that's awful, right? um
It's not fun. It is so unfun. And most of the time I find myself betting against my team. So if we lose, I've got a silver lining. Like, seriously, I'm like one of those people. It's terrible. Like, it's bad.
yeah, it's what, yeah, it's just funny because the whole league is pushing sports betting, I think.
Yeah.
I saw another just hilarious tweet that was like, yeah, let's talk about how we shouldn't be betting in sports games on our way to FanDuel Arena playing in the DraftKings Invitational. Like, it's just, that's the whole world of sports right now is
Yeah.
taken. I mean, betting is taking it by storm, and so that also makes it kind of icky, sticky area.
Yeah.
I mean, I experienced the same thing. You see it with Shohei,
Yeah.
like
Uh,
with his interpreter just, and there's still people that will tell you, oh yeah, whatever. I'm gonna believe the reports and the investigations and what's come out. And I also think that there's a lot of change in Shohei. Like, he's changed as an individual. With the Angels, he like didn't do a lot of commercials. He didn't do a lot of speaking.
yeah.
Since getting rid of that interpreter that was apparently swaying a lot of his decisions, he's in almost every commercial you see regarding baseball. He's
Yeah.
doing a lot more of that stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Just as far as the betting goes, it's just such a deep scandal. Probably one of the biggest that we're
Yeah.
going to experience.
And I think, and dude, like, I'm still on the fence with sports betting, Like, I I think that it's fun if you can stay within your bounds, but I also think that there's a world where sports is for, well, I think in almost every world, sports are better without sports betting because you get people that are invested in the culture and not just in outcomes. You get people that are involved in the mission and the overall, the overall growth of an organization rather than like, I just want this player to play good so I can cash out a slip. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think there's also a world where it's not the most terrible thing in the world, and there's a lot of people that do it responsibly, and it's fun to do with your friends and talk about. And I feel like the whole scandal like is going to have a lot of these people like hesitant to place bets because you're seeing these players come out and do stuff like this, and it's like, can I trust somebody to place a bet on this? Like, when does Vegas intervene? You know what I mean? Like, so I just feel like there's so many layers to it, but it's crazy. It's
It's
wild.
it's going to be interesting to see how the next couple of months play out too, because you just know. I mean, if the NBA is getting it, you just know, guy. I think, in my opinion, and you can, I don't know if you agree or if you don't agree. I do feel like from a sports standpoint, probably easier to fix the player props when you're playing an NBA game, right? 5 people, you probably touch the ball a lot more.
Yeah.
Football, it's a little, I mean, it still could be possible, right? For sure. But I mean, high profile quarterbacks, they're probably not going to be doing it.
Yeah.
It's too easy to tell.
I feel like
Baseball.
if anything. I feel like kicker would be the easiest spot to throw, like, but if you're resorting to betting on kicker props and that's like all you're doing, you're probably reaching a phase that you probably shouldn't be in with betting, like,
Yeah. And again, we're talking about like betting on themselves, right? So, I
yeah,
mean, if kickers' jobs are so, which by the way, I mean, I just have to throw this in there while we're talking about it. Kickers are probably the most hated on players in football, and
yeah,
their job is not as easy as people think. But if it gets to the point where this guy's missing too many kicks, he's cut. I mean,
yeah.
plain and simple.
The Giants,
So
the backup from Rutgers, he came in, missed 2 extra points. Broncos stormed back. It was the difference. They win the game. He's cut the next day,
I know you want to. I mean, it was your little secret agent. You probably guys as
Yeah,
Broncos.
might have paid it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, objectively speaking, aside from the player props, the whole Chauncey Billups thing, it'll be cool to see what details come out, because right now I only understand that it was like an elite gambling ring where he was inviting players in for status and they were basically cheating players out of their money, and I don't know. It's sad to me. Chauncey Billups was a dog. He was one of those guys that I watched growing up that I was like, I don't know who this bald-headed guy is, but he's a dog and the Pistons are great, But kind of sad to see someone that I probably he wasn't like top of the list for people I idolized as a player, but he was up there, pure shooter, good defender, and yeah, disappointing for sure.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. I totally agree. You hate to see those type of things happen. So
Yeah. Well, let's turn to something a little bit more happy. I feel like that kind of took a negative tone, just inadvertently. You talk about people going to jail, probably going to take a negative tone.
yeah.
More pop culture. Most underrated movie series. I've got one in mind. I don't know if you have any in mind, but I've got one in particular.
Okay. I it's gonna take me a second. What's comes to your
I'll
mind when
go
you
what
think
you think.
underrated?
Maze Runner. The Maze Runner series. And to be fair, I read the books. There's probably some nostalgia from when I read them as well. But I rewatched The Maze Runner probably 3 nights ago with my wife. Got a newborn, so we're just sitting on the couch looking for something to do, just chilling. And we turned on The Maze Runner, and I was like, dude, this is like an edge of your seat type movie. Like, I know it's kind of cheesy and like the graphics aren't amazing because it's, like pre 2015, you're still trying to dive into like the better graphics. But I was like, this is an edge of your seat. Like, you want to know what's happening movie. And I think that it tapers off a little bit. The last couple movies, they're not quite as good as the first one, but I feel like it's extremely underrated. The Maze Runner series, Death Cure, Scorch Trials, it's pretty solid. Pretty solid is an understatement for me.
I think on that train, I was someone that read those books too, and so I think I don't know what happened. It felt like to me the first one, obviously super well executed in my opinion. Like you said, I think it's a great movie. Cast is great.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
Dylan O'Brien fits. I think plays the role just so good. Um, it felt like, if I remember right, I remember a bunch of hype leading up to it. A lot of marketing for the movie, the first one coming out. I just feel like maybe they lost that kind of steam,
Yeah,
like building that expectation into the second one, into Scorch Trials.
yeah,
I don't know if that's why, but I agree. I think when you talk about Maze Runner, that's not something that I would sit down and like pick to watch. But you say that now, and I'm like, I don't even know if my wife has seen it. We might
yeah,
have to go watch that movie now because it's a
yeah.
great movie.
I would agree with you too, though. I think that there was a ton of hype building up to it, and I think when you've got a full series that's turning into like a book series that's turning into a movie, you want to see if the expectation that you built in your mind meets what you see on the screen, because obviously when you're reading a book, like I read The Hobbit. I don't know why I read The Hobbit, but I read The Hobbit, and I remember as I was turning the pages, you're picturing all of these different scenes, and you're kind of like your mind's the canvas. It's kind of building the actual set, the actual atmosphere, the environment. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, this is pretty sick. It's like taking everything that I thought when I was reading and is putting it on a screen. And it's usually, dumbed down a little bit. I feel like it's kind of vanilla when you have what you built in your mind versus what's on the screen, because obviously this is limitless and it's endless, and what's on the screen is, can only be captivated and captured as much as it can. But yeah, I agree. I feel like they built it up. They showed us the maze. They were like, this is super hype. This is what a Griever looks like. This is that. And then the last two, it was like, we already kind of saw what you're going to do, and they just didn't do a good job marketing it. So I'd agree.
Yeah, no, that's a great take. I'm trying to think of all the kind of movie series that it's hard for me to think of an underrated one because of how much I like love these movies. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, that's a great series, like how do I even
I feel like it's something that you find is like underrated, like, because that's what I'd say. Maze Runner to me is not underrated. I feel like it's right on par. I feel like it's just a solid series, but I feel like it's underrated to most people. Like you said, most people wouldn't think about it as their first choice when they're getting ready to watch a series. So,
100? Yeah. I
but
think, I would lean that, a lot of I think our generation, I don't know, I think one movie that I feel like I don't know, it's hard because I'm like the one person that I like am trying to think of like, okay, how many times what have they seen this movie? It's my wife, and like she's seen nothing. I've
yeah,
shown I've
I
opened
was.
her eyes.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, have you seen this? She's like, no, and I'm like, you are uncultured. No offense, but you are so uncultured right now, and we're gonna fix that.
Yeah, that's how it is. I can't remember what I mean, I think I showed her the Oceans movies. And in my mind, all the Oceans the original trilogy is like it's a top 5 series
So
for me all time, like cast. I showed her those. So the fact like in my brain, I'm like, was that
that's crazy.
underrated? Is that underrated? Or is it just like that she doesn't know? And so
Yeah,
it's kind of hard for me to get that. Same thing with the Jason Bourne series.
yeah,
That the original trilogy, she hadn't seen those. I think I'd probably say those if I had to pick. Just when you're picking
that's
out
good.
trilogies, right? For our generation, I think trilogies, people think obviously Star Wars is big, Lord of the Rings is big, The Hobbit's big. I think people will go Dark Knight trilogy is like one of the first ones they also want to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a good one.
Dark Knight Rises. I know that it's most guys' answers, but it's just so good. It's not even a bias thing or like a I just want to jump on the bandwagon. It's just good. If you've watched the movies, they're so good. It's unbelievable.
I think that I mean if you want to talk about underrated series, I think probably an underrated movie and that is just you talk about Dark Knight Rises. I think Batman Begins is one of the best
So
kind of
good.
origin start way to kick it off. Liam Neeson's
Emotionally
unreal in
gripping.
that. It's
Yeah.
so good. It is so good. So I mean, I'm with you on that too.
Yeah.
I love those. But yeah, so many out there I can't even I could probably compile a list. I've seen a
I
lot of
know.
movies, but
We really could. And that's the crazy thing, dude, is there's probably even underrated series that, both of us like movies, obviously. We talked about Letterbox. We'll dive into that in a little while. But I think there are probably certain series that I haven't even, like, for example, I haven't watched it because I think it's trash, but my wife's trying to get me to watch the Twilight series. I haven't watched the Twilight movies. She's begging me to watch them with her. I've seen so many spoofs and like bad clips that I just can't get myself to do it. But I also feel obligated because I've showed her so many series. I also showed my wife Jason Bourne, kind of like you said. She'd never seen it. So that's probably the next on my list as far as like series go. And I'm not excited for it.
you know what? I that is the funniest thing because Meg does a group here. My wife does a book group and they read Twilight. She had never seen the movie, so we've been watching it. We're on the last one. I think we'll probably pull it up either tonight or tomorrow and just kind of watch it. But I can't tell you, it's not a great movie. I don't like the
I've heard
acting
the
isn't
acting is
great.
terrible.
I think more writing, right? Because I mean, when you look at the actors, I mean, okay, the acting there's some. I mean, it's not the greatest, but then in that for some reason there's Robert Pattinson in there. We know him as an actor is just he's a
He's a
great
dog.
actor.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
he's
dog.
amazing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that because I don't know you watch it and you're just kind of I grew up that's such a big thing and people that don't know it was huge in Utah just for the reasons that Stephanie Meyer is happened to be a member of the church and that's a
Which
big thing out there if you don't know.
which was for the community, for people that don't know. There was an uproar for a little bit because they get pretty steamy. I've heard. I haven't read them, but I've heard that they get pretty freaking steamy. And there were a lot of people that were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! This is not Utah, man." Like, and objectively speaking, she can do what she wants. She's obviously a good writer. She's a multimillionaire from the series. But I remember it caused an uproar. I remember being like a younger kid, still junior high age, and just hearing like, "No, we're probably not going to read those books." I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't going to anyways, but thanks."
not the most interesting thing for me, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, I think that's funny because yeah, that just is funny you brought that up. We finally we're gone with the last one. I'm like, we can get to the next series, but
Yep.
as a,
Move on to
yeah,
something.
I'll tell you, it's when you're kind of watching it from the viewpoint of like, all right, this isn't going to be a great movie, but like I'm going to try to let it entertain me.
Yeah,
It's anytime you go into a movie like that, it's
dude,
gonna
for
be a
sure.
great
And
time.
I feel like so I've got I'm not gonna get too specific because if they happen to watch this, I don't want them to know I'm talking about them. But now that I've said that, they'll probably know. I've got a person I know in my life, colleague, we'll call him a colleague, and they are so critical with their movies. I see their letterbox scores, and they're given did you ever watch Fall Guy? You like
Oh
the
yeah,
new one?
yeah.
I loved that movie. Like, was it pretty cliche? Was some of the acting bad? Was some of the writing bad? Sure. I loved that movie. I thought that it was fun. On Letterboxd, I gave it a 5 because I was entertained the whole time. That's usually my indicator. He gave it like a 1.5. And I was like, dude, you're just setting the bar too high. You think that you're an actual film critic, and I just can't rock with that. I can't rock with people that spend $12 to go see a movie in theaters and then say, the directing was bad. I'm like, you don't know anything about directing. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
Take a chill pill.
I just you got to know what you're getting yourself into. Like that. Think
Yeah.
about it like in the sense of food. Like if I go to McDonald's, sometimes that hits different. I know what I'm going in there for, though.
You,
Right?
you know
Like
what you're picking up. Could be
I
bad,
know.
be good.
Right. You got to know. Fall Guy was never supposed to be an award-winning movie. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be entertaining. You show up. It's supposed to pay tribute to Fall Guys, which I think it did a
Yeah.
great job of.
It was,
Right. Give us a little insight to their side of things. So, yeah, you just got to know what you're getting into.
yeah. And I think, yeah, like you said, set your expectations. I think that generally in life, there's the Spider-Man quote, right? From the newest Spider-Man where Zendaya, she says, if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed, right? And I think to a sense, and I was actually talking to my brother about this the other day, to an extent, that's healthy, I think, to expect that things might suck in some ways. I think you should always hope for the best and, like think that good things are going to happen if you're doing good things. And, if there's a lot of hype, you should probably think that it's going to be good. But I think in a lot of ways, when it comes to pop culture, when it comes to food, if you expect like, this meal is going to be okay, or this movie is going to be all right, the only thing that's going to happen 99% of the time is it's going to be better and you're going to leave a happier person. So that's the last thing I'll say on the topic.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can agree with you there. I think the only thing you should really expect more out of is like yourself, right? Like
Oh,
just to get better. But I
yep.
think if you're trying to be a critic and trying to, I don't know, you expect everything in life to be sunshine and rainbows, you're in for a rude awakening. But
Yep.
hey, maybe this double quarter pounder with cheese is going to be as good as uh, one Bobby Flay makes. You never know. Just
Yeah. It depends on the day, right? And to be fair, if you give that quarter pounder to a homeless guy, it's gonna taste like Bobby Flay. If you
yeah.
gave it to me on a random Thursday night, I might be like, that was an objectively average hamburger, and I feel like I need to go get something to clean my palate. So it's all about perspective, right? Perspective and expectations. So,
100%.
but
100%.
wrapping up the movie section, I know we talked about Letterbox, but the two I want to talk about, I feel like this is super big for me. I don't know about you, but a lot of time what sets up those expectations is looking at IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and I kind of collectively find a score. If you had to pick one of the two to trust more when it comes to picking a new movie, what side are you on?
Oh, man, well, I think you kind of laid it out there. I think when it comes to trusting the movie, I lean IMDb. Um,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Convenience wise, I think probably Rotten Tomatoes is just so much more convenient because you look it up and that's the first thing you see is the tomato meter, and you're like, oh.
Yeah,
But if it's a movie that I'm really like, okay, I want to go sit down and see a quality movie. Let's see if this is a quality movie. Typically, I I wouldn't go to Rotten Tomatoes for that
yeah.
because
That's I'm in the same boat because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, right, IMDb mainly user created reviews. You've got people that have actually seen it, have ingested it from a fan standpoint. Most of Rotten Tomato Tomater, I guess, is what the next route we're gonna go. Now, most of Rotten Tomatoes is critic reviews, right? So you get a lot of people that it's their job to review film, and I think that they do get overly critical. Like for example, if you want to do something fun, and maybe next episode we dive into this because I think I did this with my wife a while ago and it was a blast. We jumped on the top 100 Disney movies of all time by tomato meter score, right? And I was shocked. There were movies at the bottom of the pack that I was like, dude, this is an okay movie and it's got 46% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, come on. Like, I'm not saying that this is a 10 out of 10, but you're not telling me that this isn't at least like a C grade, like a little 70% here. Like, so I'm with you. I think that Rotten Tomatoes does a good job for convenience. You see that immediately and looks kind of cool. You see either the rotten or the fresh, right? But for me, IMDb, I think, sets up my expectations a little bit better from a fan perspective. And Rotten Tomatoes is, I think, the route that I would go if I'm looking to objectively judge a film and, kind of look at it from a skeptic and reviewer standpoint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I think recently too, Rotten Tomatoes added the audience score, the popcorn to it,
Yeah,
so
right.
that's made it a little better too, because then you can like take an average, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
the tomato meter's like a 20, and then popcorn
Yeah.
meter's 94, and you're like, what the heck? This movie, is this really good, or is this just like, again? It come back to like, okay, what's your expectation for the movie, right? Minecraft movie, I don't think it had a very good tomato meter score, but audiences loved it because I think they knew what they were getting into when they showed up in the movie.
It was
Right?
epic. My movie theater, I don't know about you. Did you see it in theaters?
I didn't.
So I did see it in theaters, and it was probably 2 days after it came out. I had my siblings play Minecraft. I mean, full transparency, me and my wife still play Minecraft sometimes. Minecraft's
Yeah.
still, I won't even bag it. But we went to the theater, and my experience was exactly like the videos you see online. Everyone screamed chicken jockey. People were throwing popcorn. There was a group of probably 15 high schoolers that had come together, and they're literally, you've got like these drama kids in their like Letterman jackets, like pulling up, and they're like dapping each other up, like hitting each other the whole movie. And I was like, this is sick. I was like, why can't more movies be this interactive? Like, this is so cool.
100%. And see, like again, that's another big thing, like of the expectation of the movie. I think if you're somebody that's expecting to sit down and watch a movie and have it be a good movie that's gonna, you know, have everything that you want in a top tier, Oscar winning performance, right? You're gonna be pissed off when kids are throwing popcorn and they're yelling out the answers.
Yeah.
But if you're going, why would you go to that movie? That's what I would say. Why?
Yeah.
That's on you. If you're going to the movie and not understanding the crowd, I'd say the same thing about any Marvel movie. If you're going to the Marvel movie and you really want to sit down and watch it, because I think that those probably movies are kind of the perfect middle, right? Is they want to make quality movies, but they also want to give it to give something to the fans.
Yeah.
So maybe see it a month after the hype has died down, right? And you can actually go and watch it. Wait, you're gonna have to wait. That's what I'll say. Because if you're going to Spider-Man No Way Home and it's opening night, sorry, but when people see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield on the screen, they're gonna freak out.
They're gonna scream. You're gonna have people hooping and hollering, So I agree. I feel like and again, it all just goes back, man, to setting up expectations and changing your perspective a little bit. Because I think it could have been easy to sit in that movie and be a grumpy old guy and be like, dude, shut up. Like, I want to watch this movie. Like, I just paid $12 to come watch this. Like, leave me alone. Where's the fun in that, though, right? Like, why not just be like, cool, people are excited. Why can't I be excited? So, but that's kind of my take. But I guess that kind of leaves us in a similar spot. You trust a little bit of both, take an average from the audience score, the tomato meter, and IMDb, and then you can kind of build your own outcome from there. So
yeah, that's when you got a ball knower, when you end on the same kind of page. And it's
I agree.
So
and I just invite everyone that's listening, if you're not on that level yet, where you're combining all of the different scores from all of the movie services, you might want to try it out. You're missing out, and I'm not going to say it's embarrassing that you haven't tried it out yet, but it might be. So try it out. That's all I'll say.
100%.
Okay. Last thing that I want to dive into today. Let's talk food for a second here. I would love to talk about your we could say top 5. I think that I've got a smaller list when it comes to, we're going to talk about on-course food. So on the golf course, foods that are just, you need it. You need it for your round. You need it for your sanity. Top 3 to 5, however many you feel like you need in your bag coming from the gas station or making the turn. Top 3 to 5 foods on the golf course.
Oh man, if we're just going foods, I think, first thing that I'm always gonna have, just convenience wise, just a little snack is a granola bar of some sort.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna rank them in any order, I don't think, but I think generally when I'm going to play around a golf, play 18 holes, if I'm feeling frisky, play 36, I gotta have a granola bar in there just to grab for convenience.
Yeah.
But you know what? Give me a little shout out to Bob Does Sports here, man. I'm a big chicken Caesar salad wrap kind of guy. I know people, again, hot dogs for convenience, but dude, if they have a one pre-made chicken Caesar salad wrap, dude, I'm
just grab it
that.
from Maverick on the way out,
Oh yeah, I mean
Maverick out there. You gotta, what chain do they have out there? I know that you're out of state now. What chain do they got out there?
No Maverick out here, man. It's kind of sad. I kind of live in a niche kind of spot. I'm in Hilton Head for people that don't know. So I mean, we got Circle K here. That's the biggest one around us, most convenient. But we do have like a Buc-ee's down south, obviously out here, and there's a QT a bit away. But just because of that, usually when I'm looking for that chicken Caesar salad wrap, I'm gonna, like, if the course has one, those typically are really good. So I'll lean there. Protein bar, granola bar from the gas station, and then check that out. Obviously, hot dog next choice. Those always.
Dude, I feel like I'm about to embarrass myself. I'm like a little kid when it comes to my snacks. So I'll start. So depending on the day, I'm a sunflower seed guy, but I bring a spit cup. Seeds on the course are one of my biggest pet peeves, but I don't think that they should be banned. I just feel like you need to have a spit cup. You shouldn't be throwing them on tee boxes green, obviously. But I think it helps with my nerves a little bit. Same when I was playing baseball. It was nice to have a mouthful of seeds, as you're sitting on deck or you're walking out to the outfield, just something to kind of munch on and keep you distracted, keep your mind awake. Granola bar, I'm not going to lie, man. That's substituted for a candy bar for me, and that's a problem. I'm starting to gain some of that dad weight. You give me a Snickers, you give me a Milky Way, I'll eat it all, man. So that's objectively probably a problem to think about it. I'm probably going to end up with diabetes if I keep down this road. And then I'm a big hot dog guy too, but kind of edgy. I'm also gluten free, so I'm a no bun guy, which is kind of, we won't say any words, but I think it's a little weird. It's a little weird to be one of those guys on the course eating just a plain glizzy, if we want to go that direction. But I'm a big hot dog guy as well. It's super fire.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. That's what I'm going to say on that last part. I'm not going to judge it. Not going to judge anything there. And then as far as granola bars go, I mean, I think I listed my top 3. I throw Snickers in there. To me, that's tomato. It can't count as a granola bar. Just get the extra peanutty one that has the extra peanuts in it. It's granola bar, basically, right? That's
the only thing I wish was Snickers, man. You see the commercials, my favorite one right now is the Josh Allen one, right? Josh Allen's laying in bed and he's like talking to his dad. And then he's like, I think you just like need a Snickers, and like takes a bite and turns back into a little boy, right?
Yeah.
I would do anything to be this mid-handicap golfer that takes a bite of a Snickers, and next thing you know, even just give me a fringe tour player. Give me like 2025 Max Homa after my first Snickers bite. I would be happy as could be.
I mean, I would take that's again, we'll probably get into that as we get more into golf season and talking about that.
Yeah.
Give me like a low handicap or just even a plus handicapper like Grant. I mean, you guys know Grant Horvat. He's not no pro, but I mean, that's just kind of, we'll get into those levels. I would do that all day. I don't care how fat I'd get. I'd eat a bite. I would have a bite of whole, bite a shot.
I think that I could be, if I could trade being a +1 for my weight, like right now, I feel like I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, right? Got a little bit of the dad bod, but I can still go out and run, still go out and play golf, still go out and play basketball. If I could be in a spot where you could put another 150 pounds, 180 pounds on my body and I could be a +1, but I had to be that way the rest of my life, it'd be hard to say no. I'm not gonna lie. It'd be hard to say no.
It would be so hard. I mean, I think a little easier to say no for me. I'm a little bit more on the plus side
I was gonna
right
say
now.
you're talking to like last year I was down to a 12, which I was okay with, shooting mid 80s. That was okay. Low to mid 80s was pretty typical around for me. This year I've digressed a little bit, but yeah, that would be a terrible trade-off. Don't take
Not from a handicap perspective as much as just a weight perspective. I'm like, it's not that much. I'm a little bit on the heftier side already, so we might be.
I thought we were talking handicap. I was like, I mean, yeah, you're single digit, right? Like you're getting lower and lower every round.
Yeah, not as low as I'd want, man. I live literally in Hilton Head, and I'm just telling myself, how am I not better? Oh, doing a disservice to the location that I live in.
I feel that. So my golf membership was like comped this year through my page, right? It was out at the ranches. So fun little club. I don't know if you've ever played out there, but fun little course, And last year I played I think it was 200 rounds of golf, and there's probably 170 out at the ranches. And course handicap got down to probably an 8 or a 9, which it should if you're playing that much golf. And it's crazy how much the consistency of playing can impact your handicap. Because this year I've played way less, had a pregnant wife. I'm working for a startup company, outside of, the stuff I do on Instagram and stuff. I work a 9 to 5, and I just played a lot less golf. I was playing maybe once a week, maybe twice a week if I was lucky. And my game was affected. It was something that you looked at and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You play half as much golf, you're probably going to get a little bit worse. So I feel you there.
100%. Yeah, and it's happened so fast. It feels like. So.
Yeah, and the nice thing though is I feel like it, at least for me, it just takes a little bit of time to iron it out, and I almost have to just accept hey, it's gonna suck for a couple weeks. But then yesterday I was able to sneak out and play some golf, and I was just hitting on all cylinders. Everything felt great. Putter was a little bit off, so I didn't go as low as I wanted because the putter wasn't rolling quite as well. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's just it'll come back. You just have to play enough, right? So
yeah, it'll come back, and if you could just eat a Snickers with every bite, you'd be back. That's the problem solver, right?
I'm gonna do it next round. We're gonna see how it goes. I'll report back. We'll see if it makes a difference. But
look for that correlation, causation. Let's see if it works out.
Yeah. Well, the last couple things that we'll do, I would love to, and I know this is our first episode, so kind of giving people a structure of what we'll follow. It'll be pretty similar to this every week. Pick'ems is where we would dive in now. We haven't had time to kind of dive in. Garrett has. I've slacked off a little bit. I'll blame the baby, but we'll post our NFL picks for this upcoming week. In the next little bit. From whenever you watch this episode, it's already live on Instagram, so go look. You'll see our picks. You'll see the pretty typical win-loss record based on how the picks went. I already saw Garrett's pick, and he did pick the Cowboys to beat the Broncos, so he's axed off the next episode because he's sending bad vibes my way. I would never vote against the Chiefs unless they're playing the Broncos. I'm just saying. But go check out our picks on the page, and we'll finish off with the name of the show, some quick turbo takes. So what we'll do, objectively speaking, this is just going to be yes or no, or just basically one word answer to answer this out. We need to dive in next episode. We will. But today, Garrett, I've got 5 turbo takes for you if you're ready.
All right. Hit me with them. Let's see it.
Okay. Randy Moss or Jerry Rice?
Oh, gotta go, Jerry.
Okay. Burger, hot dog. We know this. That was discussed.
Gotta give me burger.
Okay. 2K or Madden?
Madden for me.
Okay. LeBron or MJ?
Oh, man.
This is a tough one. We'll talk about this another episode, I'm sure.
I'm going to have people mad at me on either side. Give me MJ.
Okay. That's a fair answer. Probably go the same direction. And last but not least, this one's kind of obscure. We're going to take it a pop culture direction in kind of a really weird way. Rate Nicolas Cage's acting on a scale from 1 to 10.
Jeez, this is where you get into that expectations level of things. Give me Give me a 7.5 out of 10. 7.8. 7.8.
That's gonna need to be discussed. I'm not sure about that, but I did
On the
just
plus or on the minus?
I would go lower, but you know what? We're gonna axe it for now. We'll throw it into the next section. We'll talk about the 3 best and the 3 worst Nicolas Cage movies, just to justify your pick. And if you change your mind by then, we'll let you own up to it. But for now, just going 7.8 out of 10 on Nicolas Cage, my guys. That's
I don't know if I need to change. I got to figure it out.
think about it. We'll talk about it next episode.
That was a tough one for me. You got thrown out because there's the nostalgia. I'll defend myself next episode, maybe a little bit, and we can discuss it.
Okay, we'll do. Well, we'll post a next episode agenda for y'all as we get ready, so you can kind of have something to look forward to. Our picks are live on Instagram, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
All right, see you guys.
Peace.